And so your lineup for today is... Hey, yo, wait, is this thing on? Yo, can anyone hear me? Right, I'm going down to the pitch. This speaker's ass. Yo, hello. Yeah, testing. 1, 2. Right, look, listen, mate. I'm not being funny. We're like trying to play a game here. Someone run me a beat. Hold on. Sir, please, can you... 2-foot tackle, shatter man, shin pad. Smack up and slap up your dad with impact. You're bored of the feet like Amarim. I'll slap up this ref then hammer. Yeah, you're off, bro. I tried to warn you. This is ridiculous. I can already tell this is going to be a long episode. You're trying to use a mic as well? Yeah, don't think I won't send you off as well, pal. Yo, guys, it is your boy Nirin here, and you are watching FTW. This, of course, the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. But what has been kicking off in the world this week? Well, in weird news, an elderly woman was scammed after sending money to a man who said he was an astronaut stranded in space.
Donut, you're so stupid.
Listen, I'm sorry. If you're Dorothy, you've got to ask some questions in this situation, surely.
Well, you see, I have a Samsung Galaxy, so I thought it connected to up there.
Nan, first of all, that doesn't even make any fucking sense. B, you have an iPhone.
iPhone. Yes, son, you're right. I did phone him.
Fucking, you know what, nurse? Put her down. How was bro on 4 bars of 5G to message you from space? Apparently, he needed to buy some oxygen. Ironically, there's no O2 up there. Maybe it was real, who knows? The astronaut heartbroken, realizing he's been locked out of the ship, and now he can never connect to the Wi-Fi ever again. This is probably the biggest scam since Nicolas Jackson's loan fee. Now, on to the football, and we can only start with one club, and it's mine.
He's done it again! That is a foul!
Look, I'm sorry we keep doing this, yeah? I think that the last 3 episodes we started with Liverpool, you don't have to boo me. We do just keep doing absolute madnesses. Welcome, Isak Alamayehu, who's just joined QPR. Shout out to Liverpool. Were still in the market for a striker come deadline day, and they found him. In the same way you'd find Evangelos Marinakis if you played hide and seek with him in a bathtub. The Alexander Isak chase had been on for the entire window, but the Reds completed a British record signing, announcing the Swede had joined officially after the transfer window had ended. My question to him, can you play centre-back, geezer? Because I think we might need a little bit of cover. But Ekatike, Alexander Isak, the AXA training ground department just heard their budget for the next 7 years.
Fuck off. 2.5 grand.
We are not buying another player until 2033, but honestly, it is worth it. In 2 weeks, of course, it's the Merseyside derby. Can't help but feel Alexander Isak's going to get absolutely clamped about 27 seconds in, and a former toffee won't be too happy jumping into his DMs this week after he left Newcastle.
Oh, mate, I swear, I'm fucking raging.
Now, the Magpies' statement on the matter and Alexander Isak leaving had about as many letters in it as they have points this season. They were not willing to celebrate what Alexander Isak did for Newcastle, and it's hardly surprising after the way in which he forced himself out of the club. It feels like it sets a dangerous precedent that himself and quite a few others have forced their way out in such a volatile way this transfer window, and it's worked for them. Newcastle are going to be the first club to retire a shirt because they hate the man who wore it so much. The entire city fuming with Sweden. Shut down their IKEA, you're never going to get another customer. Newcastle City Centre Primary School, their geography department just made a cut. It of course contributes to a massive £3.57 billion being spent in the Premier League this transfer window, an absolutely egregious amount compared to the rest of the clubs in Europe.
Are we the baddies?
We probably need to have a look at ourselves, lads. I'm not gonna lie. Is this all a little bit excessive? Either way, on the pitch though, and it might be early on in the season, but there was a massive match already. 22 players, 2 teams, about 12 defensive midfielders, 1 man with tactics found in Saddam Hussein's bunker. Sir, a 3rd defensive midfielder has hit the team sheet. All in all, based on squad selection, we were in for a tight affair with the arse. No, that's not the way I should have. As the Gunners faced off against Liverpool in just game week 3. Last season had been another agonising one for Mikel Arteta, his Arsenal side finishing 2nd again. And whilst that's good in the bedroom, this industry's more about clean sheets. Liverpool supporters had famously brought a banner about Arteta always being the bridesmaid and never the bride. And Mikel for this game said, I'll show you guys. I'm actually trying to finish 2nd in this match.
Shut up, you talk.
4 centre-backs and 3 DMs chosen for this one, though forced slightly through the injury of Martin Odegaard, could still be tried in front of NATO. They tweeted they wanted to make a statement before this game. It'll be a police statement at this rate, I'm not gonna lie to you. What's the charge? A succulent Chinese defeat. And Arsenal's injury woes were not helped in this one when William Saliba was forced off after just 4 minutes. Does bro even get the appearance fee for that? Genuinely rough for Arsenal. Lots of injuries to start the season to the likes of Martin Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, now Saliba. These are 3 key members of their starting 11. It does beg the question, is there too much football going on anyone to have this many injuries after 3 weeks. I'll be honest though, this game was wank. Madueke was spinning Kirkes. Both sets of midfielders had an IQ of a butternut squash. Speaking of which, Gabriel Martinelli's brain needs to be donated to science so that we never create another one like his again.
He's about to do something stupid.
If you put his brain in a dog, it would move. The quality was poor, but it was still a nail-biting affair, or crutch-biting affair for one supporter. With just under 10 minutes to go, Dominik Szoboszlai would step up for a free kick.
Szoboszlai! Oh, it's a gem! It is a gem!
A piece of brilliance from the Hungarian would be the difference maker here. This 30-yard screamer of a free kick from Dominik Szoboszlai, the only goal, as the Reds won 1-0 against Arsenal.
Oh, leave us alone, we got a party!
If only they'd listened to Ty from AFTV, giving tactics to the wall from the stands.
What is going on here?
It saw a Thanos snap of a celebration from Szoboszlai, the makeshift right-back collecting Infinity Stones in the form of all the positions on a football pitch. That's the snap our current right-back is doing. The snap our old right-back was doing, not quite as useful, to be honest. Szoboszlai instead was close to making me pregnant with this free kick. He's the best free kick taking right back who's played in the Merseyside area and has a long name of all time. Jeremy Frimpong was watching on the bench, realizing he's already been replaced.
We're gonna get in, coach. Put me in, coach. Bro, I brought the whole fam out there, my homies, bro. I didn't even get in the first half. We winning.
And as pointed out by friend of the channel, Frederick, this is probably the first time at which the yards away from goal has directly matched the amount of points you would get for the goal scorer's surname on Scrabble. These are the stats we're actually here for. We flipped the script here, beating Set Piece FC with a set piece. Meanwhile, Declan Basmati's attempt wasn't quite as impressive.
Special beyond special! Well, we hope not.
Obviously, man's tried to ras it in, but it's all gone a little bit to the left, didn't it? Victor Gyökeres trying to run in behind was a sight to behold here. Though, to be honest with you, the clash between himself and Ekatike in this one was the battle of mid. Meanwhile, Mikel Netanyahu was getting grief from pundits. Peter Schmeichel saying that only one team tried to win here. David Raya and Mikel Arteta alike, though, weren't happy with the new Puma footballs. Arteta getting his protractor out to measure the circumference of arbitrational forces for this one. Puma will be reading their text from the Spaniard tomorrow morning.
Hope you get hit by a bus today, you fucking wanker.
It's not all good news for the Reds, and I promise we will stop talking about Liverpool very shortly. Mark Gahey was about to join Liverpool as well, until Ollie Glasner threatened to strap a C4 onto his chest and walk into the dressing room. Mark's new training regime at the club has been released here. He literally had his goodbye message done and edited, but Palace were unable to find a replacement for him. I can't lie, the editor's not going to get the response he wanted when he walks into the living room asking to still get paid.
Actually, I'm glad we've got this opportunity to chat, as there's a couple things I want to...
Shut up.
Sure.
Look, keep that video in the draft till January, boss man. All I'm going to say is we know his medical information now. I can't wait for Hugo Ekatike to pour milk all over him when we play Palace next, after finding out he's lactose intolerant during his medical. Now, one deal that almost collapsed was that of Nicolas Jackson. After a trusted method of his local spin wheel, Todd Bowley decided it was Nicolas's time to get yeeted out of the football club. That was until an injury for fellow striker Liam Delap threw off the entire deal. Chelsea wanted him to return, to which his agent said planes don't fly backwards. Yeah, so obviously with this line, I was just kind of saying, innit, like, they usually fly forwards, so you can't really put the thing in reverse. The deal did go through in the end, but the incredible thing here is that there was £16 million in loan fees. Todd Bowley's managed to extort his way out of problems once more, and it led to the first ever Fabrizio Romano, here we go again. On the pitch for Chelsea, and VAR was the star of the show versus Fulham. Unfortunately, that show was Jim will fix it. Fulham took the lead here through youngster Josh King, who was unbelievably impressive in this game, only for the goal to be disallowed due to Rodrigo Muniz stepping on Trevor Chalobah's foot whilst he was in control of the ball. I got grief for saying this was an apocalyptic decision to rule it out, only for the PGMOL to basically accept that it was an official mistake, so hold that. Fulham wing-back Anthony Robinson posting on Insta that it takes a crazy amount of time for VAR to do anything, only for the decision to be wrong anyway. And I've got to agree, like, VAR isn't an inherently bad thing, it's done well in other countries, but the people in charge are the issue in this country, and honestly, are incompetent all round. Marco Silva refusing to comment on it after the game because he'd get in trouble. That's even more mental as well. You're not even allowed to criticize officials in this country, otherwise you get a fine or a touchline ban. It's legitimately like a dictatorship at this point. To try and change the game, Marco Silva decided to bring on Adama Traore. His clash with Mark Cucurella, I'm pretty sure I've seen that before, I'm not gonna lie. Just go WWE, man. This guy was playing like Anthony Joshua.
I'm 18 stone, I'm heavy.
It's like substituting on a caravan, for fuck's sake. As for Raheem Sterling, and he is still at the football club despite the transfer window being done, a handful for his teammates. A truly believable player. Himself, Axel Disasi and Mykhailo Mudryk will be left staring at each other in the bomb squad 11. Rodri made his Premier League return against Brighton this week and hadn't lost the game in which he'd started for the club in the Prem in 49 appearances. That record was fucked absolutely immediately as City were defeated 2-1 by Brighton. Tijani Reinders posted Season 1, Episode 1 after his electric start versus Wolves. That show's been cancelled already. James Milner scored the equaliser from the spot in this one and paid tribute to Diogo Jota in a goal that confirms he's the second youngest goal scorer in Premier League history and also the second oldest scorer. Meanwhile, Brian Gruder showed 99 composure to win it for Brighton late. City's Manchester rivals, United, were finally victorious though this week as they defeated Burnley late. Big Hair Man is now a fifth of the way towards being able to get a trim, but honestly, scraping a victory with a last-minute penalty it's still not very convincing. There was a really harsh VAR decision in this one as well. Ruben Amorim forced to check his tactics board as Lyle Foster obliterated his defence. One of the goal scorers in this one, Jadon Anthony, just when United thought they'd finally got rid of them. Amorim couldn't believe it as Burnley went and equalised.
Burnley are a team I'd love to see get relegated. I'm sorry if there are any Burnley fans. Don't worry, there's not many. Oh, shit!
Meanwhile, Bruno Fernandes and Diogo Dalot were getting stuck into Burnley players late on in this game. Looking like dickheads, honestly, but I'm actually happy for them. They've at least found their level now. Their Carabao Cup enemies Grimsby Town, after completing one of the greatest upsets in Cup history, posted this for their League 2 game against Bristol Rovers.
Oh, hiya. Just going through the town formation for today's League 2 fixture against Bristol Rovers. 4 changes from the side that drew 2-2 with Manchester United on penalties in that famous night here at Blundell Park.
Yeah, it's a shithousery award. That's absolutely crazy work. Fair play. At Grimsby, though, there's actually the news they accidentally fielded an ineligible player for the game. Basically, they registered him like 1 minute after the window they were supposed to. They only receive a fine for this one, and honestly, I'm sure Manchester United fans were worried they were going to have to play these lot again. The former United manager Erik Ten Hag is in real grief this week, as he's been sacked as Bayer Leverkusen manager after just 2 Bundesliga games. They're calling him Erik 10 Minutes now. This is the first team to hire a manager and then look at his CV afterwards. Era's come to an end. Bro, yours never even started. And yeah, obviously, look, he blew a 2-goal lead to Werder Bremen. Well, a 10-man Werder Bremen as well, with a last-minute goal, but this seems very harsh early doors. Leverkusen execs had already made their decision, looking at Ten Hag after 4 training sessions. Let's be honest, though, like what? They lost Wirtz, Frimpong, their captain Granit Xhaka, the likes of Hincapié, Kusunu, Adli, like their team was ripped apart. What is he supposed to do? Newcastle have confirmed the signing of Nick Voltemada from Stuttgart. It's good to see that they got their first option, really, as far as the strikers were concerned. The 6'6" German comes in to partner Johan Wissa, and Eddie Howe will be watching him walk into the dressing room, absolutely bemused.
Look at the size of that fucker.
If I'm Newcastle, yeah, get him on Dan Burns' shoulders. That's a serious corner tactic. They've splashed out about 70 mil on a 69 rated non-rare silver. Meanwhile, he says that Kai Havertz is his favourite German footballer of all time. Look, do the maths. This is going to be a goal every other season. But Emi Martinez, however, and he didn't get his dream move. Aston Villa goalkeeper's transfer to Manchester United fell through, and a move to Galatasaray couldn't be completed either. He'll be returning to Villa training once again after crying to the fans for a 2nd year in a row. Villa faced off against Palace in the league, and Unai Emery was seemingly unwilling to talk about the Argentinian beforehand.
Without Emi Martinez not in the squad at all tonight, why is that?
Bisotto. Marco Bisotto.
Where is Emi Martinez, though?
Marco Bisotto.
Will he be your future goalkeeper?
Marco Bisotto.
Look, all I'm saying is Marco Bizot's save in the World Cup final was real peak stuff. Palace absolutely dismantled Villa in this game, though. Jean-Philippe Mateta scoring in this one and doing his usual celebration, only to be yellow carded for it. As Cole Palmer said on Insta, the game's gone. Meanwhile, a slightly different celebration for Ismail Assar, pretending to quite literally be dead before running to the corner flag. Unai Emery was left devastated on the touchline.
I've had people saying that I've been noncing kids and all sorts. 3-0 to Palace, and we're fucking shit.
We also saw the Champions League group stage draw this week. PSG were given the gauntlet of death. I think quite literally getting the hardest game from every single pot. Even their fixture list is laughing at them. UEFA said, what, you won it last year? Yeah, try win it again. Man City, unfortunately for them, have got all of their games on the same day at 8 PM. Gonna stretch their squad depth, you have to imagine. Leverkusen were just busy trying to avoid Grimsby Town. I know Erik Ten Hag posted this before he got sacked, by the way. He had to get back at United somehow. Meanwhile, Real Madrid face a journey to Kazakhstan. A 12-hour flight, yeah, to the eastern side of Kazakhstan to face Kairat. They're closer to China, bro. Their ground is called Central Stadium. That's a default one on FIFA 14. For players scared of flying, it's an 89-hour bus journey. 89 hours of traveling, bro. I expect to be on Mars by that point. Boys and girls, it's time for the FNG transfer roundup. Yep. Wait, what do you mean we're not going to have Big Zoo on the show? Who's going to listen to this bullshit now? Hey, oh, sorry, we're like, yo, hello and welcome everybody to the FNG Transfer Roundup, the last place to hear about transfer news. It's been a window of sagas, drama, and big money moves, but also one of miracles too, as a team actually decided they wanted to play Rasmus Højlund, the Dane moving to Serie A and Napoli. News circulated the Italian side put an unusual clause into a Rasmus Højlund deal, that clause most likely being him getting a goal bonus. Sir Jim Ratcliffe will be delighted, realising he doesn't have to pay for acne cream anymore, but let's be honest, the duo of Højlund and McTominay are about to go triple platinum. Now, they're not affiliated to FC Manchester of United. Another man leaving the Red Devils is Alejandro Garnacho. One fan saying he looked like Draco Malfoy in this suit. Fucking hell, he would have never made a decision on whether to kill Dumbledore or not. You know, I get that. I just don't understand how we don't have the budget to upgrade it to the new YouTube logo. It's been 6 years, Darren. Across London, and Tottenham hijacked a move for Xavi Simons, the attacking midfielder joining them from RB Leipzig. News is that they woke him up at 4:27 AM so that he didn't end up going to Arsenal instead. Word is that Tottenham winger Manor Solomon was disgusted by the move, having been promised that game time 5,000 years ago. And on the topic of Spurs and what a year it's been for them, is Daniel Levy's stepping down as well.
We have caught and compromised to a permanent end Osama bin Laden.
Obviously, Daniel Levy in his 25, I think, years at the head of Spurs did manage to, convert them from being a side that finished very much mid-table to being a side that was the understudy of Arsenal all the way to a Champions League final. However, I think he's really taken them as far as he can. They're basically a business, it feels like, more than a football club at the moment. But ultimately, he is a football legend. An American football legend, bro. They got so much NFL going on there. Spurs finally won a trophy, and he said, nah, man, I don't recognize this club anymore. Now, in Spain, Antony completed his move from Manchester United to Real Betis, where he had such a good loan spell at the end of last season. Ronaldo is Real Madrid. Messi is Barcelona. Antony is all of La Liga. He got a crazy reception from Betis fans when he arrived in Seville. He said that the city was beautiful and basically that Manchester was shit, and even brought out his trademark skill move on Betis' socials. Wasn't such a great week for Barcelona, as they fell to a draw against Rayo Vallecano. Thankfully, though, Marcus Rashford was able to score a screamer. Yeah, his teammates were absolutely fuming with this one. And maybe Marcus was actually the problem. I can't lie, with a strike like this. He must have had a bet on himself to get a shot on target. That's the only explanation. The state of the pitch, to be fair, for this one was a bit abysmal. It looked like a rug from 1897. Meanwhile, when Lamine Yamal earned a penalty, it couldn't even be reviewed because VAR was out of service. And it still did a better job than the Chelsea-Fulham game. Barca president Joan Laporta, meanwhile, is absolutely loving Barcelona's new stadium. He even wants to sleep with it. Meanwhile, I mentioned Barcelona VAR. Real Madrid was just as controversial, as 3 goals were disallowed in one game against Mallorca. What's Florentino Perez's bribe money actually even getting used on? Arda Güler delighted with Dean Huijsen after Dean's assist for him. He gave him a little peck. Meanwhile, one Real Madrid supporter didn't have time for all that noise. He was too busy playing rock, paper, scissors with Endrick. That's Real Madrid's future, but how's their past getting along? Yeah, nah, we're safe. We're revoking his hard man identification. Do you think Pepe would get caught doing this? No, he'd shove the microphone into somebody's prostate. Meanwhile, at Villarreal, this announcement, Tani Oluwase is gonna stop their stadium announcer from struggling with his words.
Tani Tolua, Oluwati Milaine, Oluwashei. But you can just call me Tanny.
Over in France though now, and shout out to PSG, and Joao Neves specifically, who scored 2 bicycle kicks in a 7-minute period and then completed his hat-trick with a banger as well. This all in a 3-6 win. His league aren't even real, like genuinely. That's gotta be one of the best hat-tricks of all time. 2 bicycles makes a whole car, for fuck's sake. There was a controversial transfer though coming out of League and that was Ben Chilwell, who left Chelsea for fellow Clear Lake Company and Chelsea under-23 side Strasbourg. I'm sure negotiations for this one went pretty well. Right, so do you want Ben Chilwell? Yeah, we'll have Ben Chilwell. They've definitely just utilised Strasbourg to get him off the wage bill for some dodgy financial stuff. There's also a crazy transfer going on in Italy, as Jamie Vardy's joined Cremonese in Serie A. Peronis hate to see this man coming. Italian dealers across the country are having their phones going off relentlessly.
They keep on coming. I think that they still calling.
Meanwhile, centre-backs across Serie A will be confused when Vardy calls them La Nobjocchia. This is he's winding down his career. To be fair, mate, he's about 27 in Serie A years. Scott McTominay is also acclimatising fully now to Italian football, missing a header and shouting Mamma Mia to himself. At least it wasn't as bad a miss as Moise Keane, who managed to miss the target from underneath the crossbar. That finish was arse, and so was Jeremina for Cagliari, a little bit more literally though. And in Germany, Victor Boniface completed a surprise move from Bayer Leverkusen to Werder Bremen. Fam, are Leverkusen like closing down forever? What is even going on over there? One journalist questioned whether Victor's fitness was up to scratch.
But can you tell us how fit the fitness, your body, is it your 100% or?
If my body is not 100%, I will be in the hospital. I will not be here talking to you. So.
Meanwhile, in my opinion, the reason he's left, just in case Erik Ten Hag came back. You just have to be sure in these situations. Meanwhile, Mainz were victorious against stiff opposition. That doesn't mean they had to run with this advertisement on their big screen. Now though, you know what it's time for. It's goals of the week. And we start off over in Jordan in the Shield Cup over there. Al Waidat are playing against Al Ramtar. The score is 1-1. And after a bit of a scrap in the midfield, Mahmoud Shorka picks up the ball and launches it from distance on his left peg right over the goalkeeper, but with power. This isn't just like some halfway strike. He's absolutely smacked it. What is a halfway strike though is coming from a free agent. Probably the first time we've ever had a player in goals of the week that's not actually playing for a club. Instead, for a PFA trialist team, Connor Wickham, former Premier League striker, looks up and sees the goalkeeper off his line from the halfway line. Your final goal is not only a banger, it's also incredible context. It comes from the Chan tournament over in Africa and for Morocco, where the score is currently level between themselves and Madagascar at 2-2, only for a Moroccan attacker to win his side the entire tournament with this absolutely mental half volley that again loops over the keeper. How about that to win your country a tournament?
Hello all and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty.
What's wrong with y'all niggas? What's wrong with you?
And that concludes The Beautiful Game.
Over in Turkey, Jose Mourinho has been sacked by Fenerbahce. The sacked one.
Respect.
Yeah, it's not been the greatest time, really, in Turkey. I think he's definitely won over fans of Fenerbahce. There's also been controversial moments, not only with Fenerbahce's rivals, but with Turkish football kind of as a whole. The season hasn't really started all that well. If he fancies doing any further damage to his mental health, the West Ham job could be available soon. And into Miami, Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez and co came agonizingly close to winning the league's cup in America, losing in the end to Seattle. Leo forced to watch on in the background as the winners celebrated. He had scored the winner against Orlando in the semi-finals and then celebrated with his kids, but things got pretty ugly in the final for Inter Miami. Luis Suarez getting into a scrap, Sergio Busquets punching a young child, and Luis Suarez even spitting at a coach. He apologized, but it's grim behavior. We need to see some sort of consequences for these guys. Their former Barcelona teammate Neymar could be about to get a big payday though, as one Brazilian businessman has decided to leave him $1 billion in his will. I'm not being funny. Of all the people in Brazil, does Neymar really need that? That surely could have gone to someone else. Neymar will be heading round there with some weapons, knowing that one accident could see him get an extra £1 billion. Meanwhile, in more humble scenes in Brazil, this Atletico Mineiro fan has had enough of his boss. There was crazy stuff in Portugal as Portimonense had 2 goalkeepers get red cards in the first half. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what the discipline of these shot stoppers is, but 2 red cards alone is crazy in the first 45. For both your goalkeepers, though, is unheard of. So instead, a centre-back had to go in between the sticks and won man of the match, making some incredible saves and keeping a clean sheet for an entire 45 minutes. Unsurprisingly, they were all celebrating at full time as his side won 2-1 against Benfica's B team. In Saudi Arabia, and there's the news that Al Nassr has signed for Al Nassr. This transfer window's really had it all, hasn't it, to be honest? Meanwhile, elsewhere in Saudi Arabia, and Darwin Núñez was showing off his drawing skills. For his mental age, that's pretty good. It's fair to say the horse practice he was doing in Liverpool hasn't really worked out for him.
And he's showing me he's drawing. Just lying scribbles. What the fuck is that?
His teammate Joao Cancelo, meanwhile, was absolutely fuming when substituted in the league. But in the cup in Australia, and Heidelberg have done the unthinkable. This is a side outside of the top flight of Australian football, and they have gone on a crazy run, dismantling some of the biggest clubs in the country with cup upset after cup upset, and now they find themselves in the final of the entire tournament. This is a chance for a lower league Australian side to win the entire cup. I don't know if they earn some kind of continental competition from that, like with European Cup competitions here, but I hope so, because they fully deserve it if they go on to win. Closest to home, and Tottenham got absolutely smashed stats-wise versus Bournemouth as the Cherries run out 1-0 victors. And as Antoine Semenyo headed on to international break, he decided to bring that up with his Ghanaian teammate and Spurs player Mohamed Kudus.
How's the game on Saturday, bro?
Oh, it's good. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back.
At Everton, Jack Grealish is continuing his incredible run. He's got 4 assists already in the league for the Toffees, and he's absolutely loved by Wolves supporters already. This is exactly, really, I saw a tweet about this is exactly what Jack Grealish should be. The main man at a club like this with a dedicated fan base and allowed to actually have some level of freedom. Erling Haaland was very happy for him over on Snapchat. Meanwhile, Jack actually posted on his own Insta it's the first time he's played 3 games in a row in a while. This straight after Manchester City lost to Brighton. Yeah, it's a shithousery award. The timing must have been on purpose. Iliman Ndiaye, meanwhile, decided to celebrate as a wolf as he scored against Wolves. But the best thing from this game, this Amputino shirt from a man in a wheelchair in the front row. You gotta have some kind of sense of humour, I suppose. Over at Leeds, and who knew that E.T. was a fan of Dominic Calvert-Lewin? Meanwhile, at West Ham, and I said that the Hammers could well go down and the entire football club was a mess, which is exactly why they then went and pumped Nottingham Forest the exact next day.
Sorry, can't do this.
Lucas Paqueta chose this opportunity to dispel any rumours of him going to Aston Villa with this celebration. Make that 4-0 to Crystal Palace. Like, I don't make the rules, but that's an extra hammer blow. Fabrizio Romano tweeting that this was a message to everybody. No, it's a message to you directly. At Reading, and they decided to listen to advice from Michael Owen, suggesting that you don't need a wall for a free kick you're defending from 30 yards out. Fair to say this is evidence to prove otherwise. Meanwhile, Yeovil Town have a novel way of celebrating the player that scores their first goal of the season, and that is to award him with 25 kilograms of potatoes. There was beautiful stuff in Europe as Hammer and Spartans made history, becoming the first Maltese club to ever make it to a UEFA competition proper. And they'll even be playing against Gibraltar's side Lincoln Red Imps for the first time that link-up's ever happened, or the first time that clubs from these two nations have ever played each other in a UEFA competition as well. There was no sympathy for Besiktas when they were beaten in Turkey this week. Meanwhile, one foot fetish led to a scrap at Palmeiras in Brazil. In Tanzania now, and a set of players, referees and coaches had to lay down on the ground because there was an attack of angry bees that descended on them halfway through a football match. And whilst this is very serious, I hope no one was, properly harmed at all, this is a hilarious scene to watch. There was more violence going on in the Uruguayan second division, where we saw 3 red cards for one team in one game. Meanwhile, we need a little bit more of that sort of spice in Egypt for a side called Ghazi El Mahala, of which all 4 of their games have ended 0-0. Can someone just put one in the back of the net, please? In Zimbabwe, and someone needs to level out some of the pitches as this strike bubbled directly over a goalkeeper, having looked like an easy save. Spare a thought for Southern City over in Bhutan, who were beaten 21 by Paro FC. They might need help from the Northern City as well, to be honest with you. And there were similar scorelines for our friends of the channel, Boiler FC, a group of kids playing in a youth division who have once again been absolutely battered. 26-1 the scoreline there. It's fair to say these trialists are not getting a contract. They're just members of the public that brought shin pads, let's be real. FC Hard face off against FC Egg this week, and they came together to produce an apt graphic for the team sheets. There's a unique situation going on for Harju in Estonia, who will be finishing the season playing 10 home games in a row. Meanwhile, at Spennymoor, and a coach that was taking their fans to a league game accidentally punched in the wrong location into their sat-nav. It meant the coach driver driving in the wrong direction for an hour. Thankfully, he noticed what was going on and did actually manage to deliver the fans for the game. Now there is time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. This is a segment of the show where I bring to you the best of Sunday League and amateur football. Now we are really kind of stretching the limits of amateur football here because we're going to the Slovakian Cup. One of the sides in this game is from the top tier, that's Kamano. But the team that this story is actually about are playing in the 6th tier. And I can only imagine 6th tier Slovakian football is at least to some degree amateur. The side in question is Svodin, and one of their players is Kornel Salata. He came on during the course of this Slovakian Cup game, and that doesn't sound all that interesting or all that different to the usual until you realise the side that he was coming on and playing against was the team he's assistant manager of. Kornel Salata, alongside being the assistant manager of top tier side Kamano, still enjoys an amateur footballing career. Absolutely hilarious stuff, I've got to say. On to the weird stuff though now. First of all, we head to Nigeria, where there's a revolution going on at Enyimba. These guys are a big club in Nigerian football, and they are going through tumultuous times. They decided to get rid of basically their entire squad. 22 players left last week alone, and it's fair to say the scouts are going to get a little bit busy. Now though, we head to the beautiful nation of Romania for an update, because last week I told you the story of FCU Craiova, who due to financial difficulties had been docked 94 points going into this season. Well, things have got even worse. They've been deducted even more points, which means they're now starting the season on minus 106. This after players weren't paid again. But finally, we head to Sweden for actually kind of a feel-good story, and one that's absolutely remarkable. It follows goalkeeper Jacob Kindberg. He's fair to say he's a bit of a journeyman. He's been around in Swedish football for a while now, for so long that he's actually been able to complete it all together. This guy has played in every single level of the Swedish pyramid and completed that with a game this weekend in the top flight. All 10 divisions, this man has played at least one game in for a different team. That is absolutely mad. That, though, is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course, subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.